Decorum, on attending online meetings. We will also tackle hosting online meetings and the protocol and decorum on introducing guests and speakers. At the end of the session, we will go back to these learning objectives and see if we have accomplished them. But first, we have the modern day heroes, our medical frontliners. By the way, I consider also the Rotarians as our modern day heroes because we are not required to respond to the COVID pandemic because we are volunteers. And yet, our Rotarians, our brave and courageous Rotarians, unmindful of the danger of the virus, went out of their way to help and support the medical frontliners, and in the process became the frontliners themselves. For this, I salute our fellow Rotarians all over the Philippines. So this is now our new normal. Welcome to the new normal. You see, the new normal is just like going through a dark tunnel. Can you see the light? As we can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. It is not meant to be permanent. Yes, we can see the light, and it is becoming clear now. We are almost there. All we have to do now is stay connected. So how do we stay connected? Because if we stay connected, as we go through this COVID pandemic, we can overcome this. So we stay connected, even in the comfort of our homes and our offices. So how do we do this? We use the new technology like Zoom, Google Meet, Facebook Messenger. I'm sure you have already encountered this. Later, we will have a speaker who will talk also about Microsoft Teams. So we need to continue what we do best. We have to plan. We have to conduct our meetings. We have to do our club inductions. We have experienced that last year, the whole year. It was almost practically virtual for the whole year. So from the new normal, we have now elevated to the present situation, and they call it the new reality. Because they say that the virus will be with us for a long time. So despite the vaccines, the ongoing vaccination, we will still have to wear masks, do physical distancing, wash hands, avoid the Delta variant. And now they're saying there's already the Lambda variant, and you have to avoid going to super spreader events. But you see, in Rotary, life must go on. And the way we do things now in Rotary must continue. We must still observe protocol and decorum, even when we conduct our Rotary business through online or virtual meetings. So when you hear the word protocol in Rotary, the first thing that comes to your mind, protocol is what do we follow? Ang protocol, ano ang protocol dyan? Diba? This is a question being asked, ano ba ang protocol dyan? Actually, protocol is a word of diplomatic usage. It means also social grace, basic courtesy and consideration, proper conduct, etiquette, observe on private or public gatherings, and right, we're doing now on virtual meetings. So protocol simply means thinking of others first before we think of ourselves. Parang Rotary's motto of service about self. And of ourselves in terms of what we do for others. On the other hand, when we talk of decorum in Rotary, it is really about, I Googled decorum and it said good taste and propriety. So in Philippine Rotary, we have the 3 Ds. What are the 3 Ds in Philippine Rotary or Philippine Rotary? Discipline, demeanor, and of course, the last is decorum. So we will tackle first protocol and decorum on attending a meeting or joining a virtual meeting. Okay. So what do we do when we attend an online meeting? Of course, most of us will be guests when we attend an online meeting. First rule, strictly follow the agenda or program. The second rule is a cardinal rule. Okay. What does it say? Mute your audio if you are not the speaker. Let it remain mute all throughout. And then, of course, you put your cell phone on silent mode. Do you know that your ringtone is very loud and can be heard by like the more than 400 or 500 participants? So you can just imagine the noise that it can create if you did not put your cell phone on silent mode. Avoid distractions and do not engage in multitasking. About a year ago, we had this shocking news. Isang barangay captain and the barangay treasurer, nakalimutan nilang i-turn off yung kanilang video and audio sa Zoom. So huling-huli, nagmo-multitasking. So awa ng Diyos, pareho na silang nag-resign at pareho na rin hiniwalayan ng kanilang mga asawa. Anyway, don't engage in multitasking. Be conscious. Okay? Dress up appropriately and always turn your video on. Okay? So when you join a Zoom meeting, you have to give time, you have to dress up, and then turn your video on. Pakita mo yung sarili mo. And be conscious that everything is recorded in Zoom. Okay? So kung ano yung lalabas sa itsura mo, yun din yung mare-record. And do not leave the meeting unless the moderator has given the go signal, because usually at the end, there is a group photo opportunity. And then during the other matters or during the open forum, okay, so the question and answer. So what is the protocol on this? Since we cannot really, and you cannot be seen when you physically raise your hand, so there's a button that you can press. It's called the raise hand button, and it will appear in your video screen. So you just wait for the moderator to recognize you before you can start your message. So it's not automatic when you press the raise hand button and you can already speak. Okay, you have to wait for the moderator. And after you have been acknowledged by the moderator and after you have spoken, please do not forget to lower the hand button, which you can also press right after. Okay, this is what you can see in your Zoom. I click on the participants, and then there's your name will appear, and then there's a button. There are so many buttons. Then you find the raise hand button. Just click it, okay? And then after, you again click the lower hand button. Very simple. Now we go to the protocol and decorum on hosting a meeting. Okay, but before you can host a meeting, make sure you have downloaded the latest Zoom client upgrade, and it's now 5.7.1. Okay, so how do you do this? It's also simple. You just go to your Zoom account, click on resources, okay? And then after clicking resources, you look for Zoom client for meetings, and then press download. It will take about less than a minute. It will consume about 80 megabytes of your space, but it's worth it if it's updated. So when you host a meeting or you are invited as a speaker, remember these useful tips, okay? Or when you have a part in the program. Number one, for better video and audio, please use desktop or laptop. Do not use a cell phone if you are the speaker or you have a part in the program. iPad will do, but not cell phone, okay? Use headphones or earphones or external microphones for better audio. And if you want to go further, you can do like what my good friend Lito Bermundo did. He bought an AirPod. So yung AirPod, it has a feature on noise cancellation. So maski malakas yung aircon, hindi yan maririnig because of noise cancellation features. And in order to avoid being disconnected, your speed. So speed really matters on online meetings. If you're a speaker and if you're the host, the minimum, you should have at least 20 Mbps and preferably fiber connection. Remember, when you are the host or when you are invited as a speaker, practice makes perfect. So before the event, okay, you can always practice. And if you are the host, anything can happen. So before the start of the meeting, you always appoint a co-host or co-hosts and then schedule a technical rehearsal to anticipate any problems that can happen. If you are a speaker, speak slowly and look at the camera to establish eye connection with the participants. And the camera must be eye level. At, sabi nga, gitna ang iyong itsura. And there must be a space on top of your head in your screen. Okay. If something goes wrong, okay, if something goes wrong, and it usually happens, just don't panic. Smile and maintain your composure. Maintain your composure. The next slide will show us a video of an actual event. Well, it happened. I will not mention the district, but I was invited as a speaker. And when I was introduced, ganito po ang nangyari.
On our chat box. And once again, here to formally introduce another heavyweight from the Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator for Zone 10A. Please welcome past District Governor of District 3800, Virgilio June Farcon.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction.
Yung sunod na kawali, yung dalawang hawakan, malalim.
Let me just greet District.
I will read them on our chat box.
Okay, so don't panic. Just maintain your composure. It happens. Okay, we now go to the Rotary meeting. And what is the protocol when it comes to call to order? Okay, ito. Of course, we start on time. Our apology, we started a little bit late because we're looking for that countdown video, which we could not locate. So we were not able to show it, but we decided not to show it anymore. So start on time, always. Okay. Let me go back to this. What is the advantage when you start on time? Then people will know that even if they're just the two of you, the president and secretary, and you start on time, the next time around when they're late, they will come early because they know that you start on time. Okay. For the call to order, the president calls the meeting to order before the host takes over the proceeding, just like what we did. Si Gov OG muna, and then it was turned over to the Master of Ceremonies. Now, sa call to order, you don't have to order the president or the governor what to do. Okay, the host should not order the president because the president is presumed to know what he's going to do, diba? So anong ginagawa natin diyan? Sasabihin mo na lang, Mr. President, it is now your time, or Mr. President, the club is now ready. Okay, and then the president calls the meeting to order, and then the president adjourns after the host is through with the program. So at the end, the host will again turn back or turn over the control of the proceedings to the president for the adjournment. Okay, the proper use of gavel. Dito maraming nagkakamali. Okay, so kung in person tayo, alam mo, ang ginagawa ko, I will call somebody, I will call a life-changing president and make really a demonstration. But let's just do this quickly. Okay, one rap, so that means one click, it's for adjournment. So nangyayari sa atin, when we call the meeting to order, it's just one click. It's actually 2 clicks or 2 raps. So pag call the meeting to order, dalawang ting-ting, o dalawang bateng-teng. Okay? Pag adjournment, isa lang. When you ask everyone to rise, you make 3 bateng-teng. So 3 clicks. Dapat mayroon ako rito bell and gavel so that I can demonstrate this. And if you want to restore order, then you bang the gavel successively. Di ba? Nakikita natin yan. Order, order, order. Again, the gavel is the symbol of authority of the presiding officer. So stand when rapping the gavel. But because of the Zoom or because of the online meetings, we can do this while sitting down. So you don't need to stand up on online meetings. Baka kung ano pa ang makita pag tayo mo. Okay? So you can remain seated na lang. Now we go to invocation. So what is the protocol on invocation? First, it must be clear and short. Huwag naman sobrang haba, makakatulog na tayo sa paghintay ng matapos ang invocation. Second, it must be inspirational, not boring or depressing. In other words, you don't need to cry during invocation. Third, it has to be ecumenical in deference to members or guests of other faith or religious denomination. And last is, during invocation, you don't need to do the sign of the cross. No need for the sign of the cross. So this is purely optional, But you can still do the sign of the cross if you want. But not all is expected to do the sign of the cross. Next is we go on national anthem. Okay, marami ring controversies dito. So if it's an online meeting, there's no difference, okay? Whether it's in person or online meeting, no difference. The national anthem is played and sung with dignity, pride, and reverence. Not slow, it's a march, okay? It should be finished in less than a minute. How about if there are foreign guests and we have to play the foreign national anthem? Okay, which anthem do we play first? Well, the foreign national anthem of the foreign visitor should be played first before the Philippine national anthem. This is Rotary International tradition of giving courtesy to our visitors. Okay? And besides, under Republic Act 8491 or the Philippine Flag Law, the Philippine national anthem is required to be the last to be played under the law. During online meetings, you do not need to stand up, but you can just place your right hand over your chest as a sign of respect to the flag. And if there's no flag, you can just sit up straight and listen with respect. So now we go to the introduction of guests. So we will tackle 3 parts: introducing visiting Rotarians, introducing visiting non-Rotarians, and introducing the guest speaker. So what are the rules on introducing Rotarians? Okay, foremost among the rules of protocol is precedence or ranking at all functions where officials are present. So the rank or order or of precedence at all times be recognized particularly in 2 instances. Number 1 is during sitting, when we sit our dignitaries. But on online meetings, this is not applicable. And the second one is when we introduce them, introduction. So this we have to follow. We have to follow yung rank or precedence when it is an online meeting. Okay? So this is the general order of precedence. So these are the general principles, points to remember, memorize, kung kaya. Okay. Number 1, current position takes precedence over past positions. So tandaan mo, mas priority ang present position. So ikaw incumbent governor, mas priority ka kesa sa past positions, sa mga past governors. Okay. Second principle, past position takes precedence over future positions. So mas priority ang past naman kaysa sa future. You know, the logic is simple. Of course, the present, kayo yung nagsisilbi ngayon, the club presidents, the district governors. So kayo talaga ang bida. And then, bakit mas bida ang past over the future? Kasi yung past nakapag-serve na. Ang future, hindi pa. So binibigyan ng recognition ang past and they take precedence over future. So mas priority ang past sa future. For those who are holding more than one position, they should be ranked by the highest office. Okay. Highest office ang nauuna. And if they are accompanied by their spouses, remember, the spouse enjoys the same rank with that of the dignitary. So the spouse should be given or accorded the same rank and should be introduced together. Okay. In introducing officials, we are so very much guilty of this. Do not use abbreviation. Oh, Hermie, do not abbreviate now. Use complete title. So do not abbreviate. So huwag mong gagamitin DG, PDG, DGE, PP. Diba? You just have the courtesy of using district governor, past district governor, etc., etc. Okay. And last, under the general principles, these rules can be modified based on local customs. Okay, I will explain this later. So we have the code of policies where we have the ranking, but we also have the local customs where a particular district can follow its own local customs and deviate from the general order of precedence. During international events, okay, I don't recommend this to be memorized, but you know, mahaba, we can always refer them. This is on international events. So ano yan? Zone Institute, Rotary International Convention, or Presidential Conference. These are the rankings or the order of precedence. Okay. We now go to the district level, which we're more particularly interested. At the district level, again, this is a combination of code of policies and local customs. Why local customs? Because under the rules, we can modify the general order of precedence depending on the local customs. Of course, sino ba ang highest sa atin? It's always the district governor. And then among the past district governors and the past RI directors, sila yung past, they are ranked according to seniority. And then the future, sunod-sunod na yan. Okay? And then the district officers, okay? You know, sa code of policies, if you notice, the assistant governor is being ranked or is ranked ahead of the district secretary. Yes. Assistant governor is ranked ahead of the district secretary. But in our custom, local custom of the district secretary is always given recognition ahead of the assistant governor. So ito yung exception based on local customs. And the same is true with the senior assistant governor because alam naman natin ang senior assistant governor ang pinaka-head ng zone. So mas nauna siya kaysa assistant governors. And then of course, ang last is yung district chairs. Again, the local customs can take in or can modify this. Anong ibig sabihin? We have past district governors occupying present position like vice governor, like district trainer, mga district treasurer. So they are also given a ranking as present position. Okay? So inaalis natin siya doon sa rank according to seniority, tinataas natin siya because they are occupying present position. Okay. Sa club level naman, ang highest of course is the president, followed by the president-elect dahil ano natin yan, elected yan. President nominee is also elected. Down the line. Okay, ang isa lang na mako-comment ko rito, this came from the Code of Policies. I did not invent this, by the way. Yung past president, they are number 11. Okay? Kasi most of the past presidents, in practice, sa ating mga clubs, mas bida pa nga minsan sa presidente, yung past president. But you know, according to the Code of Policies, Order of Presidents, ang ranking pala niyan, medyo nando ka na sa pag-pass ka na. Kasi pass na eh. So what is the key here? So if you're a past president, you still have to be active. Okay? You still have to be active. So dapat you're still involved like as a club trainer. Then that means you'll be occupying a present position. So, okay. So what are other protocol on introducing guests, dignitaries during Rotary meetings? Okay, question. You can go to the chat box to answer this. So after a formal acknowledgement of the dignitaries has been made, like si D.S. Hermie Carino, pinakilala na niya na lahat ng ating mga guests and dignitaries. Question, do you still need to acknowledge those who came late? Okay. The answer is, as a rule, in online meetings, you don't need to acknowledge them anymore. But, us and by way of courtesy, we follow or we give recognition to our dignitaries. Okay. So what we normally do is we pass on to the master of ceremonies to do the task of recognizing them later. But as a rule, there is really no need to acknowledge them, especially if they came late. Because when you came late, that's a penalty for not coming on time, and then you forfeit the chance to be introduced during the proper time. But in our district and in other districts, I observed that we are very courteous and we accommodate especially our past district governors who really took time to be with us. Okay. Other question. After the formal acknowledgement of the dignitaries and guests, does the next speaker need to mention them again before he or she speaks? Okay, just like what I have done. There is no need for the next speaker to again mention all of those that D.S. Hermie Carino painstakingly mentioned to all of us. So ang protocol is that it's going to be acknowledged only once. Dignitaries will be acknowledged once. So pag na-acknowledge na sila, hindi na kailangan i-acknowledge ng mga susunod na speaker. And again, this appears to be simple, pero ang daming nagkakamali, and sometimes I'm also guilty. So what we do is, let me deviate from protocol and again acknowledge the presence of. Or if you want to play safe, just like what President Kate did and I did also, you just mention the magic words. Ano yung magic words natin? Protocol observed. So when you say protocol observed, that means you don't have to mention again their names, and it is understood that you're not violating rules on protocol. Okay, we now go to the formula for introducing Rotarians. Okay, so when we introduce a Rotarian, we start with the name of the club. So if he or she is a visiting Rotarian, you start with the name of the club, research the classification and his present position, and then when you mention the name of the visiting Rotarian, then ask the audience, or you lead the audience in giving a virtual applause, or if it's an in-person meeting, a physical round of applause. Okay, very simple, alam nyo na yan. So how about the formula for introducing non-Rotarians? Okay, remember, your visitor is a potential member, so we have to be gentle, we have to be kind to them, and we have to respect them. Okay, if you want them to come back, then you must know how to properly introduce non-Rotarians in your club. So you mentioned first the person who invited him, the guest of Rotarian or past president. Ganyan. Second, you mentioned the profession or business. And again, when you mention the name, the person introducing the non-Rotarian must lead in applause immediately after announcing his name. Okay, I think this is the last slide. And this time we're going to tackle introduction or introducing the guest speaker. Alam nyo, marami ang medyo nahihirapan dito. Alam nyo ba na this portion is being taken for granted? Okay? When you are tasked to introduce the guest speaker, do you know that it's just like delivering a mini speech? It has to have an opening, a body, and an ending. So when you are tasked to introduce a guest speaker, please do not read word for word his biodata at yuyuko ka na lang at uumpisa mong basahin na napakahaba. As the person tasked to do this, you have to prepare. Okay, what is expected of you? You just pick out from his biodata or resume the important or the highlights of his life, like awards received, educational attainment. Okay, and the purpose really is to get the listeners to be excited to hear the speech of our guest speaker. So, ang tawag ko dyan, the 3 Ps. Okay? The 3 Ps. Prepare the audience to hear the speaker. Prepare the speaker to give the speech. And last is you prepare yourself when you give the introduction. So, there's no substitute for preparation. So, you cannot just take this assignment for granted, just like many of us are doing. So we will now review the learning objectives. Okay. If you have discussed this, just do a thumbs up in the reaction box. Attending an online meeting, hosting an online meeting, and introducing guests and speakers. And that will be all. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of the learning session. Alam nyo, we prepared well for this. We invited speakers who are knowledgeable and who can share to us so many things about virtual meetings or online meetings. Back to you, Brian.